Hey guys, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a good day, good night, wherever you are watching in from, and coming to you with another episode of Crypto Happy Hour, this time on a $11,000, maybe $11,000 Friday night here, December 1st. So welcome to December, and I hope you guys are having a good one. Sorry for the short notice on this, but just wanted to pop in, talk a little bit about what is going on in the crypto world. If you guys can let me know if the sound and everything looks all right. So far it does. What's going on, Daniel, Marlon, LJ, Delta Crypto, Joran, however you pronounce that. Appreciate you guys. So, dude, what's going on, everybody? What's up in San Francisco? Tristan, what is happening? Houdini, hope you guys are having a good night. And yeah, as I said, Twitter, if you came from there, or if you're just coming from YouTube, I mean, it's Friday night. What else do we have to do besides talk about crypto, right? Because there's nothing else to happen on a Friday night other than to talk about what's going on in the cryptocurrency world. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to join me for sure. And definitely, if you have any questions, as always, with this YouTube live happy hour, what's up, Chris? Like the tweet. Hope you enjoyed those two books that you picked up. They're both fantastic. Really, really love both books, both Digital Gold and Crypto Assets. Fantastic authors there. But as always, guys, I will try to answer as many questions as I humanly possibly can. But if there's anything that absolutely must be answered, throw it in a super chat, and I guarantee I will get to it. Otherwise, I'll try to answer anything that I can on the on the crypto space. So let's hop into it. What's going on from Colorado? Thoughts on Salt Robert Rodriguez? Somebody mentioned for show Lambos in Vegas. Yeah, you guys might have to vote for that. I don't know where. I got to find out where you guys can vote for that, but that'd be pretty cool. Of course, BitConnect ad before the video. Are there other ads besides BitConnect? Who knows? I don't know. I've tried to block it. I really have. I put that into the Google AdSense, and it literally just won't block it. So my apologies on that. But yeah, definitely let's hop into the discussion today. So first thing somebody mentioned, I'll pull up CoinMarketCap here. So Salt is one that was mentioned. I think somebody mentioned that previously. Interesting cryptocurrency. This is actually, so blockchain-backed loans. In some cases, I don't know if you guys are familiar at all with some of the peer-to-peer lending, sites out there like Prosper or Lending Club, which I've actually utilized in the past and haven't had a ton of success with at all. But pretty interesting concept, kind of taking that peer-to-peer lending approach with an element of cryptocurrency. And the team itself at Salt is, I would say, pretty high quality in terms of Eric Voorhees, who is one of the very early individuals in the cryptocurrency world. It's one I've kept an eye on, but at $241 million in valuation, I still think it's probably a little bit rich in terms of the valuation. For comparison, I don't know, quite frankly, how steep the number of loans that they are doing, but for comparison, Lending Club, which is probably the largest peer-to-peer lender, according to Google Finance, market cap of $1.78 billion. So, I mean, Lending Club is a big lender out there, and they're $1.78 billion. I would bet that Salt is doing a fraction of the amount of business that something like Lending Club is, and still has, I mean, it's not necessarily, still less than a tenth probably of that valuation, but yeah, who knows? Loaded up on LTC at 60. That is a nice move if you did. For the most part, LTC's crushed it. I don't know where exactly he got in, but LTC in the past month has gone up from about 47 in the month of November. If you got in November 1st to Litecoin, you are now up 93%. So fantastic return, fantastic move if you got into Litecoin on November 1st. Similar can be said, I believe, to Bitcoin as well. I think Bitcoin and the US dollar percentage is maybe it's actually a little bit less than Litecoin, as is Ethereum. So over the month of November, Litecoin has actually been the best return. Bitcoin's at 61%. And then we have Ethereum at, let's see what Ethereum is at in terms of the overall ROI. Ethereum is at 61%. So basically Ethereum and Bitcoin produced almost exactly the same, but Litecoin really crushed it over the month of November. So if you've had Litecoin, congrats on that. That was a fantastic call on your part. I don't have any Litecoin presently, but it's something that I have purchased in the past. And yeah, wish over the month of November that it was something that I actually held on to. Bought the dip on ETH at 406 a few days ago, killing it. And I think this is definitely, so especially for, the folks that are new to the crypto world, regardless of, on certain things like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin, typically buying the dip is something that turns out to be pretty, why is Zcash sucking? We could talk a little bit about that, but buying the dip is something that a lot of people talk about, and it's, for the most part, for the main, probably top 5 cryptocurrencies, it has always worked out. For some of the lower ones, maybe between 30 and 100, it has not always worked out because a lot of cryptocurrencies have topped out in the past and haven't done well. But traditionally speaking, when you're talking about Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum as of recent, the strategy of buying anytime there is a, let's say, a 10 or 15% dip has panned out very, very well and given you extremely strong discounts, especially in the past. So when Bitcoin went all the way up to almost $11,500 and then dipped down to, there was kind of that flash crash or whatever people want to call it, but it really dipped about 10, 15%. But in reality, went down to maybe $9,200. If you were to buy it in this $9,500 range, sub $10,000 range, you got yourself a 10% discount and really had taught yourself a lesson in buying the dip. Sorgehill, stop beating up on BitConnect. It is beneath you. Nothing is beneath me, and if I can help a few people avoid getting their faces ripped off by a pretty blatant Ponzi, then I will. If not, if you want to put your money into it, cheers on this wonderful Whole Foods water. It's spring water. It's delicious, but yeah. Somebody mentioned Manetha. Manetha, I got into the ICO back when the ICO craze was really crushing it, and it went up about 3x, and then has since just fallen off an absolute hill. I am not in Manetha. I sold at a break even after it went below. After it went basically at the ICO price, but I missed out on a chance to sell it at 300% return, so that was unfortunate. X100 plus a bunch of other numbers. I'm getting charged around 6% to transfer BTC from Coinbase to Bittrex. Any way to avoid this? Maybe different exchange, Gemini. So how you would, I'm not exactly sure the way in which you're going to transfer that, but so depending upon the number, this is something that, especially if you're new to cryptocurrency, there are fees associated with Bitcoin. And so when Bitcoin charges you a fee to withdraw or a fee to move that money, that's typically the network fee. I think there is a little bit of a markup when it comes to Coinbase and GDAX and some of the other ones because they're trying to make money. But basically, you need to pay a fee to move your money because you need the miners to process your transaction. So you're basically paying a fee so the miners on the Bitcoin network process your transaction. That is when you're saying you're paying, hey, I'm paying 6%, depending upon the amount of money you're spending or sending, that's high. You should probably be paying, I think, depending upon where you go, maybe if you're sending $1,000 worth of crypto, you're probably paying about 1%. If you're sending maybe $100, that makes sense that you might be paying a $6 fee to send from Coinbase to Bittrex. But that's really the network fee, and that's what a lot of, if you're not familiar with the debate between Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, all these other Ethereum, all these other cryptocurrencies out there that are trying to say, hey, Bitcoin has too high fees. When you're paying a 6% fee on Coinbase to Bittrex, that's typically because the network fees in general. The one thing you might want to look at too is switch that Bitcoin to Ethereum, and the fees moving on Ethereum are typically a bit lower as well, as of now, for the most part. taking a look at some of these questions here. And thank you again for that super chat. Very much appreciated. Chris, don't you wear those t-shirts, my man. Yeah, somebody mentioned Dash is crushing it. Dash has definitely been interesting. I'll pull up Coinigy here. Let's see on Bittrex, and we'll pull up the dollar tether just to take a look. But even on a Bitcoin trading pairing, if you go back on a 1 day, let's see. We'll go dollar tether, but Bitcoin has, or excuse me, Dash has really had a crazy run. And speaking of, Litecoin having a really solid move, check out Dash. Dash over the month of November, 1 month time frame. Dash was on November 2nd. Let's see. In 29 days, Dash is up 204%. That is an incredible ROI, incredible return. I personally don't own any Dash. I think there are some people that have some criticisms of the technology and some other things like that. Some people don't like the way they market, is what it is. But there's no debating that Dash has had a fantastic run recently. When Lambo, I'm going to say when Lambo is maybe $100,000 Bitcoin, then we'll say when Lambo. But outside of that right now, we're just slowly making those moves, dollar cost averaging. One Moon, one Lambo. Thank you very much, General Tony. I appreciate that super chat. Really kind of you. Cardano will have a better proof of stake than Dash. Yeah, Sithu, I think that's one of the clear arguments that a lot of people have say is, hey, this Dash was pre-mined, blah blah blah. A lot of pretty clear arguments that some folks have had. So I'm not in Dash, but I'm not necessarily like, making money is making money for the most part. And if you're making money with Dash, you're killing it. So good on you. Honestly, who wants to drive a cheesy Lambo? I'd prefer a Jaguar F-Type. I've talked to a couple different people, and I've been asked about this before. But yeah, Jaguar F-Type is like my dream car. I drove that once, rented. It was too much fun. It was awesome. So why is Zcash lagging? We'll pull up on-chain FX. We'll sort by the current market cap and take a look down here at Zcash. Pull up 24-hour change versus Bitcoin. I wouldn't necessarily say Zcash is lagging. It's up 1.75% against Bitcoin in the past 24 hours. It's up 14%. Fiat-wise, US dollar-wise, in the past 24 hours. Have other cryptocurrencies done well? Yes, but Zcash is. I'm liking it. I'm definitely liking it. So we'll see. New Tesla Roadster. That new Tesla Roadster looks ridiculous. That looks fantastic. Ain't no doubt about that. Thank you, General Tony. I will definitely take that $5 and put that in the Bitcoin fund for 1 day, a potential Lambo. So I appreciate that. So Isaac mentioned I've been reading up on cryptocurrency and I've been really struggling to understand if I should just hold or trade. Interesting question, interesting discussion. And one thing I'll say, so there are a lot of good resources out there. Whether it's videos, whether it's whatever it might be. I would recommend personally, so this is one of the best. I'll put the link in. Let's see if this works or not. So I'll put the link in here. So that link here takes us to, if you guys want to go, I just put the link in for that if you want to check it out. I'm listening to this book right now. And this is by Chris Berniski as well as, I think it's Jack Tater. It's been fantastic so far. It's on Audible if you want to listen to it. I drive a lot, so I listen to it in the car, or it's a hardcover or on Kindle. But it goes through basically the founding of the start of cryptocurrencies. It talks about the other asset classes, or like the start of Ethereum, certain things like Dash as well, other cryptocurrencies out there. And it goes through that process and kind of talks a little bit, very high level. If you are new to cryptocurrency, if you are struggling to understand it, if you don't know a ton about the space, I would highly recommend taking a look at this book because it's going to give you some really good insight into it. And again, here's that link to it on Amazon. I'm listening to it on audio or on Audible right now. Chris Berniski is a really sharp dude, probably about my age, if not even younger. Worked at an investment firm. His firm was one of the first that invested in Bitcoin on Wall Street, and now has a crypto hedge fund. And I really like the way that they approach this, so I would definitely recommend taking a look if you're pretty much brand new to the space. So taking a look at some of these questions here, LTC prediction for 2018. To be pretty frank, I think Litecoin depends. How Litecoin moves in a lot of respects depends upon how Bitcoin does. Granted, in some cases, like in the past month, Litecoin can outperform Bitcoin on a trading pairing ratio. But I do think that in a lot of respects, how Litecoin ends up doing is in a lot of cases reflective of how Bitcoin does. For the most part, I think they're pretty heavily correlated. I mean, there are some times where it diverges a little bit, but for the most part, they're pretty heavily correlated. What do I think about Litecoin? Personally, I don't have any money in Litecoin right now, but I like Litecoin. I think it is I like Litecoin. I like Charlie Lee, who is the founder of Litecoin. I like the way that he approaches things. I kind of like the humor he takes in the world in the cryptocurrency space, and I like how they are in a lot of cases, the test net of Bitcoin, and they roll out a lot of the different technological changes much quicker than Bitcoin might be able to, because Aaron, that link was, so check that out. But so they roll out a lot of things quicker just because they're able to test and be a little bit more nimble, since they don't have the economic value per se that Bitcoin does have. Can I check out Einsteinium? So I've gotten a bunch of questions on this, and to be pretty frank, I don't know a ton about Einsteinium yet. I mean, it's blown up pretty recently. Started in May 2014, and it's really spiked as of late in the last month or so. In the past month, it's gone from being worth 6 cents all the way up to 60, 70 cents. So 10x return, 1,000% in the past month. It is traded on right now. Bittrex and Poloniex are really the main two places. A decent amount of volume on both Bittrex and Poloniex. Personally, I don't have a ton of insight, quite frankly, into Einsteinium. If anybody in the comments does, it's one of the ones that I've noticed really popping up and going crazy, but I haven't been able to do a ton of research on. So if you guys have really good, solid, specific input as to why this one has been moving, I would love to hear it. But yeah, I don't have a ton of real good insight on it for you at this point in time, but I really have noticed it going nuts. And so let's take a look here. About $5 short right now of $11,000. We're definitely expect to see a little bit. Let's see what that sell wall is. It's not too. Looks like we got about 45 Bitcoin selling off at 1099, 10,999, and then about another 18 at 11,000. So a little bit of a sell wall here. Be interesting to see how it might pass up after that. So somebody mentioned Bcash or Bitcoin Cash, however you want to call it. Patrick Riddle, what's going on from Charleston? Hope you guys are having a nice day and nice weather and all that good stuff. Jamie, a little bit, for sure. For sure. So let's see here. What's up with Bitcoin Diamond? I haven't done a bunch of diligence into Bitcoin Diamond. But somebody mentioned Bitcoin Cash or BCH, Bcash, however you want to call it, whatever really, gets you going about Bitcoin Cash. And a little bit of a pullback, nothing I would say real substantial. Bottomed out maybe around this $1,200. I think that, in my opinion, Bitcoin Cash is your hedge against Bitcoin. The big bet with Bitcoin Cash is that one day or in the near future, people are going to value having cheaper transaction fees and larger blocks, and are not going to care as much about the potential centralization of running nodes on the Bitcoin network. And in some cases, that has done really well. If you look at the overall, at the Bitcoin Cash charts on a one-day chart, Bitcoin Cash had an initial spike up. Had an initial spike up to $900 pretty soon after it was released, mid-August. Kind of sold off consistently, basically all the way into November, bottomed out November 1st or so, and has since had a really strong run, basically quadrupled since November 1st of this year. And with that being said, I think that the biggest play there is a hedge against Bitcoin, and saying, can Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin coexist? Yes. But if you're going to own Bitcoin Cash, I think that's really a bet that Bitcoin Cash at some point in time is going to outperform Bitcoin. Did I get my Bloom? Yes, I did invest in the Bloom ICO. That was one that I did get into. ETH lagging behind BTC and LTC. It has recently in some respects. Yes, absolutely. So David mentions don't buy, wait for blood in the streets. I mean, I think in some cases you could have considered, granted it wasn't that big of a pullback, but you could have definitely considered the 2 days here where Bitcoin went from $11,500 down to $9,000 essentially. You could have considered that a little bit of blood in the streets for sure. It was down about 15%. Was it that crazy considering how high Bitcoin's gone up? No, not at all. But still, when you consider the overall market movement, that was, looking back, reflecting on the past, that was definitely a time to buy. And I think that's overall just a good lesson for everybody, especially if you're new in the space. It is, Chris, glad you are enjoying the book, or got that book. I've been loving it. Very good stuff. And overall, I mean, there's some fantastic books in the crypto world. Another one, if you're not familiar with it, is Digital Gold. That one is more about the history of Bitcoin, but Digital Gold is also fantastic too. I'll pop that in. That was another one I listened on a drive up to Boston. That was pretty sweet. If you guys are interested at all in terms of so I just put the link into that bad boy. But if you guys, this book, it's from 2015, so it's not like basically Ethereum wasn't around. A lot of other cryptocurrencies weren't around. Oh, hello, Timothy Cron. How's it going? Should you use your laptop to mine Bitcoin? Only if you have a USB mining stick, and only if you're in the recruiting industry. I think that's the big thing, Tim Cron. If everybody wants to throw up, so every once in a while there's somebody from the real world that will pop in here and bust my chops about life. If you just want to throw up a little, if you guys just want to say hi to Tim, everybody in the comment section say hi to Tim and let him know what's up. That'd be fantastic, because you guys are all my internet friends, and I need my real life friends to know that I have internet friends as well. So everybody in the comment section say hi to Tim and let him know what's going on. Because as everybody knows, we're all just really crushing it on a Friday night. And Houdini, Mark, there we go. Timmy. So pulling up a couple different things here on the other screen real quick as I'm looking at some of this stuff. Tulip Mania, yeah, buddy. This is too funny. So taking a look at, let's see here real quick. Stair stepping to 15K. Are you holding OMG? So right now I am holding. Tim is scared. Yes, Tim is frightened. Now Tim doesn't. I don't think Tim gets scared of anything at all. Tim just it's if you need anybody to corroborate the fact that I've been in on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency since 2013. Tim was my boss in 2013, and I would talk about Bitcoin. In the last month, I worked with him nonstop, and everybody's like, yeah, what is this magical, weird internet money you're talking about, and why are you trying to mine this on a work computer? Because I had a little USB mining stick, and I would keep it running on a desktop computer nonstop, and had a little bit of a fan next to it, and would literally run it all day, every day. And at that point in time, I think I was making like 0.1 or I don't remember if it was 0.01 or 1.1 Bitcoin a day with a USB mining stick, but it was awesome. It was fantastic. And those were the good old days. Tim Connect. Yep. What is going on, the Prada? Appreciate that super chat. Thank you very much. Would you ever do a video on some of the best 2018 cryptos? Need that. So that's something that to be honest, I'm looking at and thinking about long term as far as what could be some of the next. I don't want to say like the next Bitcoin or Ethereum, because that's kind of like, duh. It's Bitcoin is number one, Ethereum is number two. But what are the potential moonshot cryptocurrencies that have a really strong long term possibility of crushing it? And that was part of my play with Cardano. That was my big investment with Cardano when it went up 300%. Part of my play with Zcash, even though Zcash hasn't done so well. But there are a number of cryptocurrencies that I think might be really solid, long-term opportunities and moonshot bets. And I'm trying to evaluate those and kind of put those together, because there's so many to choose from and it's difficult. But what are going to be those opportunities where you could potentially get that Ethereum level of return or Bitcoin level of return? And I'm checking that out now to see what might make sense. So I see EOS, I see Dash, I see Cardano. You know, those are definitely ones to evaluate. I think the platform plays are very interesting for sure. Let's go down here too on-chain FX and see some of the sectors. So let's see some of the sectors here. Not application development, general purpose platforms. The general purpose platforms I think are very interesting. I think they're extremely difficult to value in a lot of respects, and that is something interesting for sure. And if you look at it, the general purpose platforms are ones that often have pretty significant valuation. So are there going to be any additional general purpose platform ICOs in the future? Are there going to be anything that have a fair valuation when it comes to that? Is something like EOS or NEO or Lisk or Qtum, are any of those going to outpace Ethereum or Cardano or Ethereum Classic or EOS? You know, that's all things that you want to take a look at and think about, and that's definitely something that's on my horizon as proper evaluation to do in the future, is looking as far as the viability and development of those platforms. So looking at some of these questions here. And guys, if you are new to the channel by any chance, maybe you've been around here for a while, and if you have, I know a lot of your names are very much familiar to me. So appreciate if you guys have been here for a while. But outside of that, if you are brand new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, the little notify bell next to it, so that you can get notified as soon as I do go live. Because sometimes it is fairly spontaneous. I try to give as much warning as possible, but tonight I just wanted to pop in and have a little spontaneous conversation after a wonderful dinner at Cheesecake Factory. So So looking at a couple more of these questions here. So yeah, Robert, I got you. Mr. Faust, you are. It's going right there. Thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate it. Somebody's going to have to intermittent fast all day tomorrow. Yeah, I did today. That was really my only big meal. Oh, now we're past 11,000 right now. Looks like we just bumped up from 11,000 real quick up to, what do you got, 5 minutes? 11,000 to all the way up to 11,038 for the time being. So a little bit of a pop past 11,000, which is good to see. Be curious to see if Bitcoin can finish above the day on $11,000 and hopefully gain some stability above that. That would be fantastic to watch. I don't know how many of you guys might have Bitcoin, but even if you don't own Bitcoin, I think that in a lot of cases the success of Bitcoin or the stability of Bitcoin tends to set the stage for the rest of the market, where even if Bitcoin doesn't go up necessarily, if it goes down, it can very oftentimes drag the entire market down. So seeing some stability with Bitcoin is very nice to, very nice to see. How do you think this month will do? Mike Mack, never. So how do you think this month will do? Let's pull this up here. So whoever has the name Crypto Bobby Fan on YouTube, I appreciate that. That could very well be my mom. I don't know, but that is a wonderful YouTube name, and I do appreciate having one fan in the world, even if that is my mom. I do not know. What do you think of the guy on Crypto Daily? I like the dude on Crypto Daily. I think he's much more creative and entertaining than I am. So I think he has some pretty good videos. He's very choppy and quick, and he does some good editing. I don't edit any of my videos. I edit the first second before I start my video, and I edit the last second, but I don't do any edits in the middle. I sit down and I do a 15-minute video, and I say if I stutter, if I say it's getting published. So I gotta just move. I actually don't think that's my mom, but whoever that is, thank you. I don't think my mom knows how to use YouTube. So somebody mentioned, what do I think about the next month? The next month, I'm very interested personally to see how that is going to go down. Very, very interested to see. A lot of it having to do with the institutional investors that can get into the cryptocurrency world. That is why I am very interested to see how Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is going to do. Thoughts on Carter Thomas? I like Carter Thomas as well. Seems like a good dude. And yeah, I definitely like Carter as well. I've talked to him a little bit on Twitter, nothing too crazy, but no complaints on Carter at all. So CME Futures is actually launching on December 18th. I believe that might have gotten pushed back a little bit, maybe a week or so. But that is one of the big reasons that I am. That is one of the big reasons why I am interested in seeing how the Bitcoin crypto world does over the month of December, because large-scale investors are going to be able to bet big money, both long and short, on Bitcoin. So it doesn't just mean that Bitcoin could potentially go up. If there is a ton of money out there betting on Bitcoin to go down, it could certainly do so, which makes it really interesting. It also is interesting because the way the CME futures have, Bitcoin is inherently extremely volatile, and the way the CME futures are set up is they're like capping volatility. to like, I think it's like 6%, and then after that there's another cap to like up to 20%, whatever it might be. So the way in which they try to do things, I don't know if it's going to work off the top. And I was listening to the Consensus CoinDesk Invest conference, and it was, I believe, Arthur Hayes, the CEO of the BitMEX exchange, which is one of the big options exchanges out there. Who was a former, I think he was a former trader, or I think he was a former trader at maybe Citi or one of the other big banks. But he basically was like, it is going to be an absolute just mess show. I don't want to curse because YouTube's algorithm is going to catch my cursing, so then I'm going to get yelled at by YouTube. But it's going to be an absolute mess initially, but they'll get it right. And he said overall he thinks is good for the space, but right now the way it's structured, even though he literally was cursing and like dropping the F-bomb and say it was going to be an effing mess. And I'm pretty sure CME Group was literally the named sponsor of the event, so that was kind of funny to watch. That guy just didn't care at all, which is pretty cool. Dash has $6 million a month to spend on devs and marketing. As prices rise, Treasury gets bigger and bigger. Hard for others to compete long term. That is, it's an interesting point. I think that they're definitely spending a lot of money. Dash is on marketing, and they are. You can see it if you're on Twitter. You can see it at conferences. You can see it wherever. Dash does know how to market, or at least spend money marketing. But if you talk about like true cryptocurrencies in a lot of respect, I think the traditionalists that aren't big fans of the pre-mine that they had, or the instant mine, or whatever it was off the top, some people are not big fans of it. But when you look at the overall how Dash has done recently, Dash has crushed it. So it's not something that I've necessarily, I haven't put any money in recently, but I wish I did over the month of November, because that's definitely been one of the best performers on the market. Yeah, so somebody said Jerry Banfield, who's like a big guy in Steemit, he believe he was running a Dash masternode, and I don't know how early he got into Dash, but the masternode, so you need to have 1,000 Dash to hold a masternode, and I don't know what he bought into the masternode at, but he sold all of his Dash. So they give you, I guess, maybe an annual incentive of 11% to, they give you maybe an annual incentive or like proof of stake to, I think maybe 11% or whatever it might be, to run a masternode, and you need 1,000 Dash. At the point in time where he got in, I think it was pretty early on. I don't know how early on it was. And not to give him, I don't think he had any negative intentions here. He's just very much a big advocate of the Steemit platform, and I think he thinks that's going to do really well long term. And if you look at where's Steemit here, and I'm on Steem, and I've actually started to do pretty well, which is kind of fun. Who would have known? Where is Steem? Who would have known that Steem would, in some cases, perform all right? So Steem is about $1. At one point in time, it went up all the way to like $5, and I think there was some really big initial excitement here. But Dash, over the course of, say, over the course of a year, so both will do year to date on Dash and on Steemit. Since Steem started off at 16 cents in January of 2017, it's now at $1. It went up all the way to $2-3 at a time, maybe. Dash started off the year at $11. So if you wanted to run a masternode back in January, you needed to have 1,000 Dash at $11. So you could have paid 10 grand, 11 grand, and you could have run a masternode of Dash, which basically means, you are not necessarily mining, but in a lot of cases, you're securing the network, and you are also getting a reward for securing the network in many respects. And I don't know where it was that Jerry ended up selling his Dash. I think it was somewhere maybe in the summertime, whatever it might have been. But I believe he sold his 1,000 Dash just because he saw the price of Dash go all the way up from $11 all the way up to like a couple $100, and he was like, "Hey, this is going to be the top. I'm scared. I don't want this to go down." And when he sold, it just continued to go up and up and up. So didn't necessarily time that right, and I think he put all the money he made like $80,000 from Dash, put that all into Steem, but that money now probably be worth about $500,000. So timing the market is tough. It is definitely not easy. So taking a look at some more of these questions here.
If you
Yeah, so, and if any of you guys specifically, I know some of you guys might be going over to, some of you guys sent me a message and mentioned that you're going to be out in Vegas for that NAC3 conference that I'll be speaking at. Here's a link. Even if you aren't going to Vegas, here's a link. So I'm going to be hanging out with David Hay a little bit there, and two of the things that he, I guess, had on his agenda. And David Hay is another guy on YouTube if you're not familiar with him, but I like David. He calls it as it is and always shoots it straight. But if you guys go to that link and vote, so the second thing on that, the first thing I think he's going to do is shoot up a BitConnect logo with a machine gun in Vegas. The second thing was he wanted to rent a Lambo and race it with me. So if you want to vote for that, I think right now we're a little bit, I think getting the machine gun is numero uno, but we're not that many votes off. So if you guys want to see me, and I could definitely videotape, I could definitely shoot that up in a little bit of a video for you. But if you want me to rent a Lambo and race David Hay, we can definitely work that into the picture. Let's see, page not found. Give that one a shot. We'll see. No. That should work. That last link, you should be good. So somebody mentioned, Alan mentioned, is the Bloom ICO fundraising going so far as planned? I believe that they have raised, if well, you can pull it up here. So again, I put in some Ethereum into this. I am not so somebody said on the last video that I did, or the last thing in Vegas, or I'm sorry, I'm getting all looking at these comments. Somebody said in the last thing, like, hey man, you're definitely paid and sponsored by Bloom. I am not. It's actually illegal, if you guys aren't familiar. It's actually illegal to take money as a YouTuber or whatever and not disclose it. So anytime I've ever gotten a sponsorship or anything, I've absolutely disclosed that. I'm not sponsored or have gotten compensated in Bloom. Anything that I put into Bloom is completely out of my own pocket and my own Ethereum, and not due to that. So just an FYI on that one. But outside of that, so right now they've raised about half of the ETH. They've raised about 41,000 ETH, which is a pretty significant number. Not fully towards the entirety of their hard cap. So I don't know when they may or may not sell out of that. So we'll have to see. But if we're looking at $450 ETH, they've raised about 18, close to 20 million bucks. So not small by any stretch. When will Bitcoin be back at the $3,800? When will it be back at that level? I do not know if we will see that level again. I do not know if that's something that it's certainly possible. It is not out of the realm of possibility, but there's no doubt that that's a big correction. If we're looking at, right where we're at right now, if we're saying 3.8, we're talking about a 65% correction approximately. If Bitcoin is to go down to 3.8 thousand. Do I think that could happen? It could. Do I think with the level of institutional interest in Bitcoin that it's likely to happen? Not necessarily, but Bitcoin has fallen. When I first got into Bitcoin, it was December 2013, November 2013, December 2013, January timeframe, and there was a point in time where Bitcoin was up to like $800, and then it corrected down to 200, 250. which was like a similar like 75% correction. Whoop. Guys, trying to get to as many of these questions as I possibly can, but if there is something you absolutely definitely want to answer, just throw it in that super chat, and I will definitely get to it at that point in time for sure. Yeah, somebody said too many people would buy up at the $5,000 to $6,000 levels for it to hit $3,000 or $4,000, barring some type of doomsday news like outlawing cryptos. I think that's a fairly accurate assessment, and I think if something does happen really, really negatively, maybe. But I think there's a lot of people waiting to swoop up Bitcoin at $5,000 or $6,000 for sure. So Brad mentioned, will the live stream conference be, or will the Vegas conference be live streamed? If not, will the content be recorded and available post-conference? So I don't know off the top of my head if it will be live streamed, but I definitely will try to record at the very minimum my content so that you have that information, and you can watch that after the fact if you're not able to attend, which I know most of you aren't. Getting out to Vegas on pretty short notice isn't the easiest thing in the world. So I will definitely do my best to make sure that my content is at the very least published on YouTube, so you guys can take a look at the info that I end up speaking about. Hopefully you enjoy it as well. Ronan Murphy, how can I get super chat in Europe? Honestly, I have no clue. I'm really sorry if if that's not there. So taking a look at some of these questions. So where is my beer? I had a dirty martini at dinner with blue cheese stuffed olives, because blue cheese stuffed olives are the best stuffed olives. And just wanted to relax with a nice Whole Foods spring water after that and enjoy on that. So no beer for me this evening, but had a little drink at dinner. It was definitely enjoyable. Ethos or EOS guy? So I mean, for the most part, I'm kind of neither right now. If I'm going to put money platform mining wise, I'm going to throw it in Ethereum. But I think EOS, if they could pull it off, it could be interesting. How does Genesis mining work, and do I recommend it? For the most part, I don't recommend cloud mining. I think that if you want to get into the mining game, I would recommend doing a little bit of research and perhaps buying and building yourself a GPU rig and mining script coins or GPU focused cryptocurrencies. I think that Genesis mining is obviously, if there are some inherent risks associated with and unknowns associated with paying somebody money on a locked 2-year contract and not knowing if they're going to be able to deliver, or if they're actually paying you out the accurate hash power that you have asked for. But outside of that, I personally, I haven't heard anything super negative about Genesis mining, but I do think they take a decent cut off the top for you. And then from there, I would, I think building a mine on, building something on your own is definitely something worth taking a look at. It's also, personally, that's kind of when I got started in crypto, was playing around and mining, and I thought it was extremely fun, and it's enjoyable to nerd out on that stuff personally. So thank you for the call on Cardano. Researched and love the project. Bought at 3 cents, and it's now at, what is that? Where are we at? Cardano, 14 cents. So good on you. Quite frankly, G Square, I have no idea what that currency is. That could be worth 10 cents. That could be worth $1 bajillion. But that looks like a tornado in the in the super chat. So thank you for 100 of whatever that was, and I hope you made a bunch more of those on Cardano. So good luck on that. let me know where you're from, G Square, and what that currency is, because I'm honestly curious. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, Crypto Bulldog mentioned GPU miner here. It's super easy to use. Google or YouTube to find information. If you have any interest, like if you are a technical guy, if you like gaming, if you like geeking out on computers, if you're nerdy in nature, whatever it might be, I would recommend watching a few videos on how to set up a miner, a GPU miner specifically. You're probably going to enjoy it, and it's something to, if you have a couple hours to kill, maybe have an old crappy computer lying around somewhere, I would recommend checking it out, if nothing else, but just for a fun thing to do on a weekend or during a weekday or whatever. I enjoy it, so I would recommend checking it out if you haven't had the chance to do that yet. G Square, thank you for joining from India. Appreciate it. Cardano, your opinion. So as some of you guys know, I made a decent move on. I was at a meetup. It was the props. The props had a meetup in New York, and I was there with another guy that is in a Slack group for people in New York, crypto guys in New York that I talked to, hang out with a little bit. He talked to me on, let's see here. He talked to me on, I forget when it was, but so we actually had we had some conversations a while ago about Ethereum Classic when Ethereum Classic was at 12 cents maybe or so, or I'm sorry, like $12, and then Ethereum Classic pumped up to $20. And the next time we were talking, I was like, I missed out on Ethereum Classic. I'm an idiot. And you can even see in my phone book, November 17th at 6:02 p.m. I took a note. I don't know if you guys can see this at all, but the note literally just says Cardano. That's all it says. November 17th at 6 p.m. I put that down on November 17th. Cardano was maybe 2 cents, maybe a little bit less. So that's kind of when I looked at that, got in just on advice of talking to a few people, kind of putting my ears to the ground and then doing my own research on Cardano and seeing the viability there. And a lot of the research there was simply on the fact that some other people outside of Cardano just mainly really being traded on Bittrex, and seeing that once potentially Cardano could be traded on another exchange based in the West, that it could really take off. And I want to say, there's definitely a lot of luck to getting into something and having it triple. I thought mining was too noisy. Well, who knows? So somebody said, how much Bitcoin do you have versus Ethereum? Right now, I probably have maybe 50% of my portfolio is Bitcoin, maybe 30% is Ethereum. So I have, at this point in time, a bit more Bitcoin than I do have Ethereum. Although I'm not a maximalist on either end. I know there's a lot of people that love Bitcoin, hate Ethereum. There's a lot of people that hate Bitcoin, love Ethereum. I like aspects of both for sure. Thomas, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I got my Ledger as well. Big fan of my Ledger Nano S, and definitely something good for sure. Folks, outside of that, it is coming up on an hour here, so I'm going to head off on this Friday evening. And if you're on the East Coast, or if you're on the West Coast, or if you're in Europe or India or Asia, if it's Friday, Saturday, whatever day it is, wherever you're at, I really do appreciate you taking the time to join. But I wanted to pop in here, answer your questions, talk a little bit about what's happening in the day-to-day world right now of crypto. Definitely, I plan on waking up early in the morning to do a little bit of a recap video on what's happened over the night, see if anything crazy happens, or just provide a little bit of a recap to the past 24, 48 hours. So certainly expect a video tomorrow. And outside of that, if you do have any suggestions, if you need anything, definitely sound off in the comments. Certainly here to take your thoughts. But thank you, folks, so much for your time, so much for your questions. If I didn't get to your questions, again, I always apologize if I'm not able to answer any questions. So my apologies if I wasn't able to answer anything that you did ask. But thank you so much for your time. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button, the little notify bell. Have a great night, day, wherever you might be, and have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. Peace.